Oh my god, it is Inside the PFL. Season 9, Week 10. I'm your former champion, Joe, joined as I am ever always with the number 2 overall seed going into the playoffs. It is Drac.
Woo!
Drac, this was the final week of battles here. Jim's here as well, the number 1 overall seed, right in the chat with the top 2 representing in this Inside the PFL. What did you think of the last week of battles before the playoffs?
It was definitely the most important week of the season.
It is quite literally the most important week of the season, and that week is not over for some, but we will get there when we get there. Let's go right over to the first of the battles that happened this week here. Now, Rob made history, I guess. or Rob prevented history from happening, I guess I should say, when he got the +1 victory over Dylan. Rob got his win.
He did it.
And we could see right off the bat here, all it takes is Miss Magus doing a lot of work in this match here right off the bat, taking care of both Ferrothorn and Tapu Fini. Z-move Miss Magus, not a bad pickup for 40 points as just an option to kind of do some damage. I feel...
I don't think Dylan really expected it, nor had an answer. Because, Ferrothorn hits a knockoff, and that does 15, he doesn't really know how to close it out.
And we have the most explosive play of the match happening right now here, where Rob makes the hard read. Golurk is in here. He thinks that Chinchino is going to be firing a Bullet Seed, which would be a bad time for everyone. So Salazzle comes in to eat a 4x resisted Bullet Seed. No, it eats Rock Blast instead and dies.
High quality reads. Just what we like to see.
It was good because no matter what came in, I mean, Terrakion would have, normal resisted Rock Blast, but Rotom or Salazzle coming in would have just absolutely destroyed them.
Right, and 2 things that 4x resist Bullet Seed, but are weak to Rock. Would you look at that?
It works wonders here, and we see Terrakion getting slowed down, who was a big force in Dylan's time here. We had Scizor doing a little work, and Rob makes it a little closer than it should be, I think, because, Dredigan comes in here just to kind of die. I don't know if he was checking the speed on that one. We have Beheeyem, which, again, for something like Golurk with Iron Fist, like Shadow Punch, not killing Beheeyem. I guess Beheeyem earns its 40 points there.
I guess you can go full HP on Beheeyem, right? Because it's so slow.
Oh yeah, it's really more... It's at home in Trick Room sets, so if you're bringing Beheeyem, it's probably got to be full HP. So still a very...
policy always hilarious.
A very scary moment either way, and then Chinchino comes in, and as I was watching the battle, which I believe I was watching live, because I posted the replay, when Chinchino came in, I was like, all it needs to do is hit Rock Blast here. And if Rock Blast misses, I'm going to be very sad. But Rob...
That'd be a disappointing way to end.
Immediately getting just a big win here that prevented Dylan, who had all the momentum in the world, 4-4 plus 20. All he needed to do was beat the man who had not had a win this season to get into playoffs, secure a position, and it did not happen. So... kudos to Rob for getting a win this season, tying the league worst record in history of 1-8 plus 1.
Oh my god.
But it is what it is. And oh man, I forgot the Discord is on in my other computer in the other room, so you might have heard a Discord beep in the other room.
Boop boop.
Oh well. So we've got next here, it is M1 against James. This was, for all intents and purposes, a play-in game, and I gotta say, this one was another nail-biter. That
was a fire game.
Kicking things off here. James loves that Frisk. and since he got the tell for weeks 9 and 10, it was his lead both times to see if he can get a little information. Didn't do too much here. Was doing decent damage to Bronzong right at the beginning, and the trick room plays and things. Like switching out on this. Switching out here too. We find the choice scarf. That's where we get the frisk from. But got the tell is pretty bulky too. It looks like.
It's probably another one specifically targeting other Pokemon if you just go full HP and special.
Yeah, and we see here as well, I thought M1 was in a bit of a bind right at the beginning with the missed Hydro Pump to not be able... Like, getting a lot of 10% drops happened, I think it was this week here, where just the, drops from Psychic or Shadow Ball of Special Defense were just proccing all the time. And Rotom Wash is not a mon that you want to have stat downs for, especially when it can... James got so frustrated with Rotom, we saw it here, he decided to explode Metagross, which might have lost him the battle.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't kill Rotom there, Rotoms can kind of just go on a tear for the rest of his team, right? And, Volcarona can clean up Metagross pretty well. Hoopa could, depending on... the builds.
We saw the double Tailwind play there as well, which has only happened once before, and it was my favorite play of the season. I'm going to go ahead and say that also was my favorite play of the season.
I love the Tailwind Trick Room combination on James's side.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. Going for... You lull them into a false sense of security, you get the mons that are good in Trick Room out early, and then when you have, say, a Scarf Mon in the back pocket or something to where that's how you get your victory, you're kind of playing with the speed tiers there, and I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah, Trick Room doesn't really last that long. If you have a Healing Wish or Memento kind of guy to set up Trick Room, to hit Trick Room then hit Memento or Healing Wish, you get only 3 turns of Trick Room for the person you switch in.
Yeah, it'd be nice if there was an extender like there is for weather, but that kind of...
that'd be
as I was gonna say,
horrifying.
It could turn the tide of the battle so easily that it's not worth it. It's understandable. A mon that can automatically set Trick Room, however, that might be worth looking into. Maybe we'll see it eventually.
That'd be so scary.
But we had here basically... I feel like, Metagross just with Bullet Punch alone couldn't have really done much to Volcarona, of course, but just having that option available, I think that James kind of doomed himself with that earlier in the season as well, just removing Metagross and then being like, man, that would have been nice to have.
But you also have to think, if it's taken out something, what is that something going to do? What's Rotom Wash going to do to the rest of James's team?
Right, 4x resisting Bullet Punch. You don't want to...
Yeah.
That's the thing, that Bullet Punch does not come in handy if Rotom is still alive and 4 times resists it. So, understandable. M1 gets the +2 here, which, again, as we said, essentially a play-in game, but unfortunately for M1, his plus has netted him in a bit of an interesting situation, which we will get there when we get there. Let's see, next we've got here another play-in game, essentially. Mike's plus not really good enough to where if he lost this match, he would have made playoffs. And Dan leading his division, it did not look great for Mike, but Mike played this battle pretty well, I gotta say.
Yeah, I think I agree, even though it got so close.
Well, there were a few missteps, I'd say, involved here. Toxic Boost Zangoose is a very interesting play in itself here, and I don't know if he went into that too early, potentially. You get rid of Golbat, which is always helpful, but... Yeah,
I was gonna say something along those lines. The Head Smash probably would have killed Golbat from Emboar,
Yeah, and we see it doing a little bit of that on... does Leavanny just... No, it's a Alomomola dies here from the head smashes, which...
Yeah, doing 50% to a fully defensive Alomomola. Oh, head smash is so strong.
That's a little rough. I'm mad that Mike didn't use Protect on the second one just to scout it, because you needed that leftovers back there for that to not be a roll, and he did not bother.
I think that was a misread because he got red earlier in that match, trying to protect when
That's true.
Who came in the first? Mantine.
Yeah, and then we see, speaking of bad reads, we got Mantine coming in on Manectric thinking that an overheat was coming, but then it eats Thunderbolt and it dies.
Yeah, it's one of those coin flips, you know, like in my game versus Leibo.
Yeah, exactly. I liked Mike's idea here with Z Sandstorm to get a little bit of the speed here, but this is more a testament to Tangrowth than anything, I think, where it can take a fully invested 2 times attack outrage and not die. Because at that point, the match very well could have been over. We see the Destiny Bond here as well, where just Incineroar dies, no sash on him or anything. And
Gosh, I'm so spooky.
And the match ends a little weirdly here with Azelf just exploding. Dan willingly throwing the game is harsh words because it's not necessarily a throw. I believe he said himself that the timer was running low and it didn't much matter to him at this point if he lost, so he decided to just lose on his own terms.
Well, I mean, the Azelf said, from what he said, wasn't going to win him anyway, right? Because he said had Screen's explosion and then a 4th move, probably like Psyshock or something. So yeah.
Yeah, facing down.
If it was Scarfed Azelf, ooh, that could have won the game for him.
It could have. We saw Azelf do a lot of work for Dan throughout the season here, and he will be taking that into playoffs, of course. It didn't affect his standing, I don't think. Just like even if he won this match. Well, no, if he won the match, he would have been the 3rd seed.
He would have ruined Mike's chances.
Well, that too. But we've seen before things where all Mike needed to do in... I'm trying to think of what it was. It was season 6, I believe. All Mike needed to do was lose to Dan. He was in the playoffs. He was fine. Dan could get into playoffs. But Mike decided to beat Dan, and then resulted in him facing Tristan for a 3rd time that season, and he lost for a 3rd time. So the power was in his hands. I don't think this will come back to bite Dan in any way. Again, he had lost at that point by his own admission anyway, so it might not be the case, but we'll see what happens in here. It secures a playoff position for Mike. Who knows? Maybe there could have been someone that he would have liked to have faced more than who he will be facing in round 1, which I believe is Jack. Yeah, we'll get there, though. Next, Drac, we got your match here. Drac taking on Leibo, and why don't you take us a little through your match?
Well, all of my mons were offensive. It did no defense investment on anybody, except for like the HP on Comfey because triage.
Of course.
Because I mean there were almost no stakes in this match, right? It was only like maybe I could have got 1st seed if Jim lost too. Yeah, there were like 2 pretty critical misreads that got me on the back foot, and then like Comfey just sort of carried me the rest of the way.
Well, Comfey has been a big mon for you this season. Just looking at you had something for everything on his team, actually, now that I'm looking at it, because, oh no, I'm sorry, you had HP Fire and not HP Grass, right? Oh no, I'm sorry,
yeah,
but you have Giga Drain, so...
Yeah.
So, looking at his team here, Pangoro dies to Draining Kiss, Magirna dies to HP Fire, Noivern dies to Draining Kiss, HP Fire for... Oh, what is that one called now? Fortress, that's what it is. And Giga Drain for Politoed and Mega Swampert. So I don't know if this was more a matter of Leibo not having the goods that he needed. Because, like, the Trick Room play is good, and it gets rid of, it stops Gyarados here, and just, he has nothing for Comfey. There's nothing he could do.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, +1 Magirna there too. Why not? Like, he uses the Volt Switch. Why not try to go for like a neutral floor cannon there or something?
Oh, yeah, good question. I don't know if like a flash cannon might have killed. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, if he had it too. I don't know. It was a really rough spot. I know he really wanted to use that belly drum Polytoad set. Maybe that was, he thought his in was there and then forgot, like, oh yeah, that's right, Giga Drain.
Yeah, Comfey's a monster. And also, like, almost everything on his team, like, loses to Comfey. Like, even his draft.
You know what we see right there? A normal Fleur Cannon. Normal-ass Fleur Cannon did 72, so if he decided to stay in there with Magearna and hit Fleur Cannon, he would have won, pretty much. He would have had, because he was still up 5-2 at that point. That could have very well been a +5 for Leibo.
No, I think Mienshow would have been able to pull it out because like he'd lose Trick Room turns like from his like belly drum play, like if Mienshow would come in.
Right.
You know? Well, no, maybe a neutral Flare Cannon would have killed Mienshow, I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, just in terms of one, he didn't have Drizzle on Polytoad, which was interesting, because I can understand using Water Absorb to, like, get in there for Gyarados. That could have been a mistake. But, like, having the rain, because if the Trick Room runs out and Noivern comes in, was Mienshow scarfed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, Mienshow would have been faster regardless, because Durant was faster than it, so...
that's also true, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, and everything else was, like, chipped low enough that I think Mienshow could have had it.
Yeah,
even if he had hit Flare Cannon correctly.
It could have been a different story, but still, either way, like, when Comfey is that much of a problem, have an answer for it, is my bottom line on this match.
Comfey's sick.
Next, we've got here Mario over Dave. Again, this is a match where Dave needed a win on this one to secure a playoff spot, and Mario gets, a late season +1 here. We see the Mario favorite on this one. You know as well as anybody that Rock Polish is coming. You should probably know. Rhyperior probably got weakness policy.
Yeah, that's the Mario special.
Right there. And getting rid of Crook so early in the game, too, is so very helpful. Like, Scarf Crook, nobody ever wants to see that shit.
Oh, Crook is a monster.
And we have here, I think, mostly the story of the match to me is Zygarde's here. It doesn't really get a good chance to Dragon Dance because it uses the Z move on Clefable here just because it wants to stay up, and it still doesn't kill. Wow. I forgot about that. But if it got the Dragon Dance off, this could have been a shellacking because after Clefable goes down, everything is weak to ground.
Right, like, let's say he hit Dragon Dance instead of Sub there. Well, I guess Clefable still wouldn't have died because of Unaware.
Yeah.
Wait, doesn't it have some ignore other people's BS ability? Is that what Aura Break does? Hold up. Please look this up.
Yeah, I forget. No, Aura Break stops Terravolt and, like, the things that Yveltal and Xerneas have. I think it stops them, which is completely stupid. Unless it is like Mold Breaker.
Yeah, okay. Okay. While this Pokemon is active, the effects of Dark Aura and Fairy Aura are reversed. Okay.
Oh.
So it just undoes the X and Y Pokemon's abilities.
Yeah, which is... It'd be nice if it got a good ability. I mean, Power Construct is technically a good ability, but we can't use it, so...
For good reason.
Makes him too powerful. So other than that, I mean, we saw the Earth Power on Volcanion here. Arcanine was coming in a lot to try and stop Kartana, which all Mario did was, just using Kartana to do damage after other Mons are gone. And now Zygarde not being able to kill Empoleon, which we'll see in a moment here. A feather on Empoleon's cap, I guess, although the base 100 attack on Zygarde, I think that when Glalie comes in here, its base attack is higher than Zygarde's, so...
Yep. I think Glalie's 130, 130.
Wow, that's...
But Zygarde obviously,
stab.
With the benefit of having... Yeah. Having the stab on 1,000 arrows, which can't miss flying types, as well as, like, the boosting moves that Glalie doesn't really get.
Exactly. That's why you want the Dragon Dance, for certain. But So yeah, I guess that with Clefable still out there, he didn't really have too many other options for it. I don't think so. Either way, a win's a win in this scenario. Mario gets to end the season on a high note. He gets to drag Dave down to the weird nebulous area, which again, we're getting there. Next, we've got Murphy taking on Manny in a match that meant absolutely nothing, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was a weird match.
I had assumed that this would be a meme match, but it looked pretty normal to me, all things considered.
Yeah, Murphy brought the meme of Mega Galley, Togekiss, and Scizor.
I gotta say, I do like how Manny just trying his damnedest with getting Mudsdale out there, like, yeah, proc stamina, here we go. No, toxic, no, milk, no. Oh, no, it didn't happen. I don't know why, as well, Murphy decides to go for Bullet Punch on Mega Sableye, potentially forgetting that it doesn't have Prankster when it's Mega.
Well, yeah, sometimes, like, you get so afraid of something that you just forget other things. Like, you see Sableye, you're like, oh, right, Sableye is Prankster. Then it's like, wait, no, it's Mega, because we have to Mega on the first turn.
And
dude, imagine if we didn't have that clause. Sableye would be such a disgusting monster.
Sableye and Sharpedo. Somebody would actually use Sharpedo.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed here. I liked the sub Lucario. I liked that idea a lot. But then Chandelure comes in, and if you have sub and you have Swords Dance, if you're running with HJK and Ironhead, that's not doing anything to Chandelure. So good in theory, you're at 3 times +4, and then you just gotta leave. Same kind of deal here. Like, all Manny needs to do is, like, we see the Energy Ball as well. You're running rest strats here. Ooh, rest Earthquake. Maybe it'll happen. Oh, Sleep Talk Rest. Oh, no. I feel like this is a match where definitely the luck was not necessarily in Manny's favor. We see the second Z Shattered Psyche on here as well.
I feel like it's the thing he was unlucky with were all of his predictions. Like, all of his predictions were wrong. Like, all his hopes and dreams kind of fell flat that match. He, like, tried to play his game when he wasn't, like, on the when he was on the back foot instead of having the momentum on his side.
I do like the use of Future Sight too. That's
it's cute, but it doesn't, like, get stab, and it doesn't get any super effective bonus or anything, so
I mean, Manny has used stab previously as well, so I don't know, could have been nice. I got rid of Togekiss, at least prevented it from Lucario dying, and then the HJK.
Well, Lucario would have just... Lucario could have just hit Bullet Punch, right?
If it had it. I mean, it might have had Bullet Punch rather than Iron Head, but we see as well here, the HJK not killing a Lilting Exeggutor. What a world. And Murphy, gets a nice +3. Manny finishes the season. Both of them finishing the season 4 and 5. Both people who probably would have liked to have gotten into playoffs, but it just was not in the cards. And quite frankly, this next match that we have here, Jack versus Dale, I'm just going to go ahead and put that on hyperfast because there's not much to talk about in this match. And Dale didn't try at all.
Yeah, like, he let Gigalith die, he...
let Excadrill die, he let Guard die, half his team was gone in 8 turns.
Never hit Dragon Dance on Haxorus.
We see Dynamic Punches. Like, the only thing of note is Sableye using Dynamic Punch because that's his fun meme that he likes, and Haxorus not doing anything to Steelix, and that's it. That's +5. Jack gets up to the... And actually, it didn't really help him that much because he's the 4th seed while Dan is the 5th seed, so I think he's in basically the same position he would have been previously in terms of who he was fighting. So, all in all, That's my summation of that one. A very uneventful Week 10 match, so that gets the dishonor of being hyper-fasted. Next, we've got another match where, I don't want to say that Thomas wasn't trying in this one, because he very clearly was. It's the problem of, have you ever taken the time, Drac, to look at Hunter's team and go, wow, there's a lot of threats here?
Yeah, I have. Hunter's team is super fast and super scary. And, like, all of his Pokemon can just pop off.
That's the thing, because it starts off pretty okay here for, you get rid of Talonflame, you get rid of Superior, and it's like, okay, we're good, we're moving in the right direction here. And then you look at the rest of the team, and, I mean, Passimian is whatever, that's fine, but, like, Mega Beedrill, Lando, and then what is ultimately the demise of Thomas, Shell Smash Cloyster here.
Yeah, which he kind of just let set up for no particular reason. Like, when you see Cloyster, you have to know that a Shell Smash is coming. You cannot let him sub or Shell Smash like that. Like, hitting rocks on the sub. Oh.
I mean, he might
and
not.
The Drill Peck doesn't break the sub.
I know, it's such a rough. Found himself in such a bad position.
Also, what was that set where the 2x Cloyster was slower than Skarm?
We also have here, he lets Meloetta die. I believe he sends in... he waits to hit Mach Punch here with Infernape, although technically there's not much he can do other than break the sub here, because again, Rock Blast kills him, and then unfortunately, Rock Blast and Icicle Spear. Again, kind of like in your match with Leibo, just a bad matchup all around. Like, those two moves did a lot to... Like, Rock Blast would have been super effective against Gyarados, so...
Yeah.
The only...
I'm curious, if Skarm was faster than Cloyster, Infernape might have been faster, so if he had found a way to break the sub with somebody else, just knowing the speed values of his own team, he might have been able to pull that back, actually. But I think he just kind of panicked and was like, oh well. I messed up.
And that sort of dominant win puts Hunter squarely in the 3rd seed position. So next we've got a very important match, another play-in game potentially. Tristan wins this one, he's in. Mitch wins this one, he is safely in. And Mitch here. Oh, hello there, Pokemaniatic. Fee? Fi?
Pokemaniatic Pie.
Pokemaniatic Pie. Yeah, I wish there was a priority version of every type, but then, yeah, that would just be like Pokemon with 4X weaknesses would get absolutely fucking destroyed. So, gotta be careful. Like, even, T-Tar doesn't want to see a Mach Punch.
I think some of them are okay. Like the priority moves are kind of sparing in Pokemon, which I think is good. Like Accelerock on Lycanroc, like that's only his move, right? So I think that gives him this sort of niche that makes him cool and doesn't make Accelerock so goddamn ubiquitous, like Stealth Rocks or something.
That's a nice thing. As long as you choose the right Pokemon to give it to, like, there are so many Mons that you look at where they, so many fighting types that get Bullet Punch rather than Mach Punch, and you wonder about it, but it's like, well, if he had Mach Punch, he would probably be a little, not even unfair, but just, like, pretty rough.
Yeah, a priority fire move would destroy Caesar.
So we see here as well, one of the things that I really liked about the match here, we got Aqua Jet, Sash, Swords Dance, Aqua Jet, Kabutops, which can threaten a good amount of the team. He does leave a little early, unfortunately, but...
Well, Exceligor would have been faster, so...
Faster,
not with Aqua Jet, I
guess. Yeah, not faster than an Aqua Jet. I feel like the thought there was... I didn't ask Tristan, but I think that Exceligor had a Sash. Like, why would it come in otherwise? And then he would have died to sand damage that turn, but he would have been able to get rid of Kabutops rather than have it Aqua Jet everything to death. And Aqua Jet, like, Kabutops really doesn't come into play later. Like, he's here, Blaziken leaves into Milotic, and I forget if he even... Does he hit, like, a stone? Nope, he just leaves.
We also see, like, kind of a sort of big hole in Mitch's team where if he doesn't have Rain Up, a lot of his threats aren't that scary.
I mean, He's got
Like
Zubstrike.
missing the thunder over and over. Yeah, Zubstrike
yeah.
is still scary. Like he could just roll the 70% every time, and then you're hating life.
I mean, he won a match against Thomas like that. So, and we saw in Tristan's match where he just got a boatload of just a boatload of hurricanes go his way here. Now, when it came down to it, when Mike and I were watching this match, it was basically Excelgor's going to hit Final Gambit and it's going to kill Mega Venusaur. That's why it is here, and then it doesn't.
Yep, that's what I was expecting the entire time.
Which we see just the final move here of close combat destroying Blaziken. I thought the Blaziken was scarfed. I didn't ask Mitch. He didn't say that Cobalion was scarfed, but I think it on the moves that it hit, it just like left like pretty quickly. So it might have also been scarfed, which would have been a fun way to get around it, because in the first matchup between these two, Blaziken completely murked Mitch's team. So it was good that he had an answer for it. But the reigning champ will not be making playoffs this season.
Didn't that happen last season too?
It did. It happened for not a few previous seasons, because the season that Tristan won, he's not in this season. The season that Dan won, he was not in playoffs last season. The season that Thomas won, he wasn't in the next season. It happens sometimes, and it's a little exciting, quite frankly. And finally, we have here Jim taking on Gage, where this is another performance from Gage that I feel like there were some spots of hope here. I think the way that I forget if it was the way that I described it to Mike, is like Rob has issues battling where you just go, oh, Rob, that's not the right move to do there. Where I feel like when watching Gage, it's like the tools are there and the moves are usually there, but it's mostly bad reads that cause the problems.
Right, we definitely saw that here. I think Entei missed a really critical read. Like when he switched into Shaman at the very end, that could have completely turned the game around for. There are a few other ones that I don't quite remember. I remember the feeling of disappointment a lot. Oh, he switches into Hippowdon on the 4X, or not the 4X, but the plus. Oh wait, I guess it is 4X attack.
Just little. Yeah, he switches it in here. Just the little weird things like the Salic Berry doesn't proc, and then he sets up Sand and Rocky Helmet damage. So I mean, it makes it so he can't, like, the Salic Berry doesn't proc, and then he's able to bring Entei in for extreme speed. But then why not? Like, you still had Raikou in as well. You could have hit like an HP Ice or something, but.
Or if he had anybody with Protect, he could have.
Just little weird things, like he's leaving Suicune in here against Manaphy for almost no reason.
Yeah, that was another pretty critical mistake.
Especially when he uses the Protect on the Calm Mind, like just little things that cause problems. And he lets Zygarde Dog die really easily as well. Is it that he Volt switches? Maybe he might not have had Thunderbolt. I don't know. Granbull comes in. Does Granbull just die? Yeah, to the Hydro Vortex here. Anybody would have, but right, he switches right. He uses the Volt switch here again when it probably could have killed if he had Thunderbolt. Let Zygarde 10 die. And just little questions. Puts him in. And just like Alolan Ninetales comes in for free. I would, instead of E-Speed there, even though it was a speed tie, you got nothing to lose. Why not hit Flare Blitz? Because
those are the opportunities you need to take, those kind of gambles, right?
Right, exactly. So, and then you miss the Sacred Fire here, or Sacred Fire rather than Flare Blitz, whatever. Either way, if Alolan Ninetales came in on the switch there, it would have eaten a Sacred Fire and died, and Aurora Veil would not have gone up. Which, you don't really have anything for Shaman if you're Raikou. You got, HP Ice is basically your best option. I'm assuming that Raikou is either Scarfed or Spect because he's locked into Aura Sphere and nothing he can really do, unfortunately. That's that on that one, and this is the win that brings Jim to the number 1 seed. First season in the league, and... Oh, it was Scarfed. First season in the league, number 1 seed. I mean, I was gonna say it never happened before, but there was a season 1, so. Oh, it outspit Scarfed Flygon. Aha, that would do it. So that's how we figure these things out. Well, with that, I think it's time, Drac, we take a look at the playoffs at hand here because
Well, don't we have a match before the playoffs we need to take a look at?
exactly. So we fade in here. Here are the playoffs and how the seeding shook out. We've got Jim, number 1 seed. We've got yourself, the number 2 seed. Hunter is number 3. Jack is number 4, facing the number 5 seed Dan. Hunter facing the number 6 seed Mike. You facing the number 7 seed Mitch. But then our number 8 seed, we have 2 people, M1 and Dave, 5 and 4, plus 14. Where normally in these circumstances we would do strength of schedule to determine who is the one who moves on. But weird things happen sometimes, Drac. Strength of schedule happens in such a way that M1 and Dave have the exact same strength of schedule. Their opponents have the same collective record of, I believe it was 37 and 44, which means that they have the exact same strength of schedule. So what we need to do then is a play-in game between the two to determine the 8th seed, who will face Jim in round 1. And Jim said he's fine with, because it might not happen today, it was supposed to, but he's fine with it happening, hopefully before the end of the week at least. Hopefully tomorrow, with any luck. But if we could just do a little bit of predictions on that one. So M1 and Dave, I don't believe, faced each other at all this season. They did not. Who do you think has the advantage in the matchup, Drac?
Ooh, God, that's such a hard thing to answer because Dave obviously has like a bunch of speed on his team, as well as the Trick Room threat he's brought out twice, which I feel like is reasonably likely he'd pull out against M1. But M1 also has like lots of bulk, lots of wall breakers, sweepers, and yeah, he has lots of tools for Dave's team. Dave's team is quite scary. M1's team is more of a sort of I can react and build against any team, whereas Dave's kind of has more of a strategy behind it, I'd say. Yeah, I think I like M1's team a little bit more, just because if a critical threat on Dave's gets axed early, M1 will have so much momentum at that point.
This one is a toss-up for me, where M1 and Dave are, again, I kind of talked about how similar their seasons were just even before we worked out the strength of schedule, but like I think the factor for me that changes things is Dave's wins, have come against 2 against Gage, 1 against Thomas, 1 against Rob, 1 against who's the other person in his division? Because he lost to Jim twice, beat Gage twice. Oh, Mario. So he has the Kirk Cousins problem. He has not beaten a team that is over 500. So I think that this is where M1 just Dave doesn't really have a big quality win. I mean, M1 technically I think is in the same boat, but at least he beat James twice. And
he beat James twice.
And James was probably over 500 at least one of the times that he beat him. So that's the I think the change in this. And I mean, James and Dave both being in Washington, maybe James can offer some insight into M1's team that Dave might not see. That could also be the factor, but I think I like M1 on this one.
I think I agree. Alakazam is a pretty big threat to Lopunny, although it probably dies to the fake out quick attack combo.
It is kind of papery. We've got your match, Drac, here. I have a feeling that you're not going to be choosing against yourself here, but I know that you had said that Mitch was one of the people that you did not want to face coming into playoffs.
Yeah, just because I don't have like a super definitive hard answer to Mega Venusaur. The rest of his team, I feel like I can deal with the rain pretty well. I feel like I can deal with any other Pokemon on his team, but if I lose an answer to Mega Venusaur early, or I don't, get it out of the way early. It's scary. Like you saw last match, like it took like 30% from an Earth Power from Nidoking. Ugh.
Yeah, that's a little scary. And this is. Will you be happy if Mitch just straight up misses the playoff match again like last season?
No, I don't want to block. I said that last time. Like, I think I was maybe I wasn't on the inside the PFL, but I remember saying it. Like, God damn it, why? Because I thought I was gonna fight Mitch round one of playoffs last season, and then he just didn't show up.
Yeah, he got DQ'd, so you've never technically had an official playoff win. But
Technically not.
but this could be that time. And on the other side of the bracket, you potentially face the winner of Hunter versus Mike. How do you think this one is going to shake out?
Oh, I mean, this is kind of similar to the dynamic that we out for Dave and M1, whereas Mike has like a ton of answers. He can build his team against any team basically, whereas Hunter's team is sort of it's got a generalized strategy of being really fast. We're gonna pivot. We're gonna hit lots of damage. You know.
It's a very aggressive team. Not much in the way of like you look at that match against Thomas this week. Like the defense on his team was what like most of it was. Cloyster comes in to just eat. Things are built in such a way that they eat a hit and then just are able to boost and do a stupid amount of damage.
Yeah.
And potentially win the game at that point. So, any kind of way around that for Mike. Maybe a focus sash might be a good idea. Maybe some priority somewhere. I don't know if he has it anymore.
I think if Mike brings webs, that'll really hurt Hunter's team, especially since Mike's team gets decimated by webs.
That would be pretty helpful. It doesn't stop Lando or Talonflame, unfortunately, is the other thing. So that's
no, true.
Yeah, so that can end up being a problem, but we'll see how that one goes. I would like Mike to win. I don't know if he will. I feel as though just Hunter's team has so many scary options. It doesn't help Superior either, actually, or it doesn't hurt Superior. It actually helps it because it makes it faster.
Oh yeah.
So already that's potentially
maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe don't bring webs, or maybe bring some like weird Leavanny set where you can hit webs, but you're not forced into just like the web sash die.
So yeah, that can be a weird one. I think Hunter will probably win, but Mike has been surprising in the latter half of the season here. It's all been uphill. I would definitely like him to win. Then we've got the 4 and the 5 seed here. Jack taking on Dan. This one is weird, I would say. Jack has been doing pretty well. I believe he's going to win this one because now, despite, and again, I believe I've said this last week too, despite having all the respect in the world for Dan, I believe he's very beatable. So I think that Jack is just going to take advantage of that and win.
Yeah, I think Jack's team has a positive matchup on Dan's over. Like, I doubt... I mean, if you look at their Megas, I don't see Mega Mawile killing, like, Rotom, Medicham, like, Araquanid, whereas all those... or Torkoal, even, and all those Pokemon can clap back reasonably well. I don't see him getting off a good Destiny Bond with Frostlass at all. Yeah, I don't see much on Dan's team that can handle Jack's big core.
Well, so that'll be a pretty... Again, Jack just getting into the league last season. Really nice. It'll be a really nice playoff run for him. Do you believe then if... So, who do you think has the better matchup against Jim in the 8th seed battle? Who may win here in terms of M1 or Dave is the other thing. Now, keep in mind that Jim has beaten Dave twice already this season, and unless your name is Mike, it's very difficult to lose to the same person 3 times in one season.
Ooh, I don't know. I think Jack's team is a little bit better because he just overall has a lot of tanking, as well as like good priority and damage. Yeah, I think Jack's team will fare a little bit better against Jim's. I, although it's not set in stone that Jim's even going to be the one in the semifinals. Let's keep that.
Well, no. Well, that's what I'm
option
saying.
alive.
That's what I'm saying is who has the better matchup out of M1 and Dave.
Shit, my bad.
That's what I'm like. Who does Jim want to see more is the thing.
Jim.
And even then, do you think that he can overcome that hurdle of because the nice thing about this as well there's no bad team has made it into the playoffs here. Occasionally with like the old format and half of the league getting in rather than 8 of 20, a team will get in that is just kind of scraping through. It doesn't mean that they don't have the puncher's chance, but like every team here is not one that I would want to play essentially.
Yeah, I think I like M1's team a little bit more against Jim.
Well, we'll see how that one goes because potentially a match as well of Jack versus Jim would be a homecoming match, as it were. So we'll see how that one goes. But again, tomorrow, potentially, we have that play-in game of M1 versus Dave. Jim said he's been prepping for both anyway, so whoever wins, we will start the playoffs tomorrow. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think then, is there anything else we got before we want to close the chapter on the regular season of Inside the PFL?
Everybody show up to your matches.
Everybody show up to your matches as things... Now, is it very important, Jack? Could it be technically the most important week of the season to show up for your match?
Yeah.
Well, all right then. Then I think with that, we will end this Inside the PFL. All of you out there in Pokemon Fun Land, show up to your matches and make sure you have fun.